Welcome back to the Sales Pulse. I'm Marla Copal, your sales conversation architect. Here's the thing. Most salespeople think they're having a conversation when they're pitching. They're pitching. As a buyer, you feel the difference when someone's pitching you. So why are you using pitches? A pitch makes you, as a buyer, want to lean back and look for the exit signs. If you're a salesperson who doesn't want to be in that situation and really doesn't want to have people run away from you, today's the day for you to reframe how you sell. You want to turn your pitch into a genuine conversation. So I'm going to show you the 5 elements of a sales conversation that'll help you design any conversation you want at any time and really put the focus and attention on the buyer where it should be. Believe it or not, you're just the architect of the conversation. You are not the center of attention. At the end of this episode, you'll be able to see where you can shift your words, shift your energy, and your questions. You can use questions that make the buyer feel like they're not only included in the conversation, but they actually choose well enough that they walk themselves into a yes. Isn't that the type of buying process that you'd love to see and experience more often? Before we start today, I want you to think about the last time you were pitched and how you were ready to run away. You don't want to be the salesperson that creates people running away from you. Here are the 5 elements that you could use to build your sales skills and your sales fluency. Let's dive in. The first foundation is curiosity. Every strong conversation needs someone being curious about the other person in the conversation. And you, as the seller, you're in the perfect position to do that because you have an ultimate goal. Is that they feel comfortable enough with you that they're going to make that purchase. So your curiosity should not be about how quickly you can close, but what you want is to discover your buyer's curiosity. How are they thinking? What created the urgency or the need today for them to approach you? What is really driving the choices and the decisions that they're making? So you never want to start with, let me show you what I have, even if somebody comes up and says, ooh, what do you have? That's not the opportunity to start into a pitch. It's the opportunity to say, well, what caught your attention? What prompted you to connect? And then as they give you their story about what they saw, don't jump on it like, oh, it was a glittery bottle and therefore I want to have more glittery bottles in my life. That's an assumption. What you want to do is say, tell me more. And now you have more of their thinking. What was it that created their momentum to speak with you? And then lastly, you always want to know what somebody's always tried or thought of before, because that will be interference in your conversation if you don't ground that out now and understand the awareness they already have around your product or your service. Whether that awareness is good awareness or bad awareness, you need to understand and dissect that before you even start explaining what's going on. Now, your second opportunity here is the framework of discovery. The next element in the sales conversation architecture is discovery. Always discover more. So we know pitches are about telling. You might as well be working for P.T. Barnum if you want to do that. You really want to discover what the buyer is seeking. If they've told you what attracted them and they told you what they've already thought of or tried, and you hear a little story around that, now you're going to discover more about that story so that you now understand what will give this buyer momentum and interest and to stand there or to stay on the phone or to stay in the messenger and have a conversation with you. If you're only trying to sell your product as a fit for them, you'll probably lose. If you're trying to help them determine if your product is a fit for them, then you can create a win. So let your buyer talk out loud. Give them the space to connect the dots for themselves instead of rattling off those features and benefits. You might say things like, walk me through what's working well for you now. What have you already thought of? What do you wish might be easier for you to accomplish? Or that old silly question, if you had a magic wand, what would you change? Notice how discovery invites dialogue between you and the buyer. If you're afraid of dialogue, sales is not your profession. If you love dialogue, then sales is the perfect place for you to be. The third element in a well-crafted sales conversation is that of flow. How does this conversation move? Is it herky-jerky, or can you make it rather fluid? So that means you have to be adaptable. Pitches are pretty rigid, aren't they? They're memorized, they're rehearsed, they're delivered the same way to everyone. And oh my gosh, doesn't it just kill you to try to do something that's that rehearsed? I don't know about you, but I don't sleep at nights if I do that. But we're all human. We love the give and take of a conversation. As a seller, you want a conversation that moves and flows, just like the river that's always flowing and changing the riverbank. That is the flow of a sales conversation. That's where you want to be. So when you have the skill of adaptability, you'll be able to notice the buyer's speech patterns. Are they more methodical? Are they thinking things through? Do they take a long time to respond? Are they fast? Do they rat-a-tat-tat out their answers and their responses? Both of those will tell you something about how they're going to make a buying decision. And it tells you how to pace your speech with them. If you're a methodical talker, but you've got a fast decision maker, fast talker, let me tell you, they're a fast decision maker and they're a fast listener. So you have to speed it up a little bit. When you match a buyer's rhythm and their focus, they relax, you relax, and you have a very successful conversation. Now, element 4 in this series of sales conversation architecture. The openings are your insight. Now you're going to build your whole sales conversation off of those openings. You needed doorways in. That's why you ask those questions at the beginning. What have you already thought of or tried? What prompted you to connect today? But you have to give the buyer an opportunity to think things through and to discover things that maybe they haven't named yet, and to discover for sure if your product or your service is even a fit for them. So this is not the time to pressure. This is the time to get perspective, the buyer's perspective and yours, and see, is there a gap that you can fill for the buyer? Is there an opportunity to serve with what you have? Instead of saying, you need my program because it's going to help you do this, this, and this, you might say things like, what would shift for you if you didn't have to spend 3 hours a day chasing follow-ups? You're definitely not pushing a product, and you're opening a door to a conversation. You're opening a door for the buyer to clarify what they're thinking, either out loud or in their head. And at one point, you'll know enough that that's going to help you with your sale and bring it to a close. Everybody loves to explore. They love to explore solutions. They don't like to be told that this is the solution. Remember when you were a little kid and your mom told you to do something and you said no? Well, sellers who use that this is the solution process, they're the ones that are going to lose the sales. Lastly, we have a fifth element to this sales conversation architecture. The finish isn't a pitch. It isn't telling them how they need it or they can start tomorrow. It's not even a close. It's a question that's going to allow the buyer to tune in to all the positivity they had throughout the conversation, to all the choices they made throughout the conversation, and to really reflect on what they themselves have said. All you're going to have to do is to say, looks like you're ready to get started. I can see you're really positive about this, whatever it is. And then you just go ahead and you ask for the transaction. This is the only place at which the transaction has an opportunity to place. Now, in this whole conversation, you notice I've never brought up objections. because objections are the resistance that you, the seller, bring to the conversation. And we'll have more conversations about that later. But if you've got the framework already for the buyer to make the choices, you've matched their flow, you've helped them with all that information that they needed, and you've offered insight, they can put it together. So you just be ready to say, that's it, no drama, no humma, and no resistance from the buyer. Your sales conversation reframe for today, it's not about pitching. It's about delivering conversations that start with curiosity, build a framework of discovery, match the flow, offer insight doorways, and let the finish be the buyer's decision. I know it's going to be tough for all of you who are control freaks, but you can do it. Because when the pitch disappears, the sales grow. That's it. It's that simple. That's sales fluency. That's what it means to be a sales conversation architect. Are you ready? Thank you for joining me today. If this resonated with you and is opening some doorways for you on how to make more sales, then join me every Tuesday for the Sales Pulse podcast and get ready to create conversations that connect. Until next time, design how you're going to have conversations with buyers that come back for more.